Eshani, aka Total Makeup Junkie 101. So today I'm going to be doing a video all about the new Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette that's called the Modern Renaissance. I was totally and completely peer pressured into purchasing this palette because you guys know that I'm not the biggest fan of Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. For some reason, the quality has never really lived up to my expectations. For some reason, it feels like a lot of people really love Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes, and I've just never been a big fan. So when I heard that this new Modern Renaissance palette was coming out, initially I wasn't gonna buy it. I thought it looked very beautiful. The color selection is gorgeous. And then I got a lot of requests. My inbox was flooded. Comments both on Instagram, Snapchat, on YouTube, just everywhere. You guys were flooding me, asking me my thoughts on this palette. So I decided that I would pick it up. And I just want to thank you guys in advance because you guys are amazing. If it wasn't for you guys asking me to do this review, I really wouldn't have purchased this and I wouldn't have fallen head over heels madly in love with it. There is my review in a summary. So if you guys want to know the more in-depth review, this is the box, this is the palette. This palette retails for $44, which is quite a bit more expensive than what I remember Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes being. I feel like Anastasia was known for her more affordable eyeshadow palettes, especially since the shadows themselves are not very big. Each of the shadow pans contains 0.7 grams or 0.02 ounces of product, which is about half of what a traditional MAC or Urban Decay full-size eyeshadow. The actual packaging of this palette is interesting. It's kind of like this velvet, kind of like this blush pink color. It's very pretty, but this is going to get dirty. The palette is magnetic. You do get a nice little mirror in there, and then these are the 14 shades that you get in the palette itself. You guys can probably tell the big trend with eyeshadow palettes are these kinds of reddish, maroonish, warm-toned, but still neutral eyeshadow colors. Just a few palettes off the top of my head that have a similar color scheme would be like the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette or the Morphe 35O palette. And although this palette is quite a bit more expensive than those other two I mentioned, this palette is amazing. The actual color selection you're getting in the palette is phenomenal. You are getting quite a few matte shadows in here. There are only two really pearly, almost metallic shadows. There are a couple that almost verge on that pearly finish but are kind of like a satin finish, and then the majority of the rest of them are pretty much matte. Here we have swatches of the top row in the Modern Renaissance palette. From left to right we have Tempera, Golden Ochre, Vermeer, Buon Fresco, Antique Bronze, Love Letter, and Cypress Umber. I really think all of these colors are gorgeous. Every single one of them swatches really nicely, but even more so than that, all of the colors in this entire palette can be used perfectly with a brush. And here we have swatches of the second row in the Modern Renaissance palette. From left to right, we have Raw Sienna, Burnt Orange, Primavera, Red Ochre, Venetian Red, Warm Taupe, and Realgar. Once again, this entire row swatches really nicely. The first two colors, Raw Sienna and Burnt Orange, I will say are really similar to one another. I don't think both of them were needed in this palette. I used exclusively colors from this palette to create the eye look I have on right now, and I have used this palette a couple of times already, and every single eye look I do with it, I love. All of the colors are super pigmented, very blendable. The mattes are really creamy, and you don't even have to build them up. They just build and blend effortlessly on the eyes. The great thing about these shadows is they work amazingly with and without a primer. I always recommend using an eyeshadow primer because that's how you're gonna get the best look out of your shadows, but you can use one without it. This pigmentation in this palette is amazing. As you guys can see, I think the color variety is really, really nice. Even though these red toned colors all look very similar in the pan, they all apply very, very differently on the skin, which I love. Other than these two matte kind of mid-tone browns, I feel like all of these colors are different one next to the other. I feel like each and every one of these colors has a real purpose for being in this palette. I think the fact that this palette isn't just crammed full of shimmery colors, and that they actually let the mattes really shine and shine bright. They are really, really great. I know that this palette is hyped up as all of Anastasia Beverly Hills' new releases are, but this one is really worth it, in my opinion. I think this is a great palette. I do feel like $44 is a little bit more than what I was expecting, especially considering the size of the actual pans, but the quality is there, and I can't say anything bad about it. So overall, love it. I do believe this is a permanent addition to the Anastasia collection, which is really exciting. And yeah, if you guys want to read a more in-depth blog post that I did with still swatch pictures of this entire palette, as well as an in-depth review on each and every one of the colors included in here, I will link that post in the description box below for you guys. But overall, I love it. I just wanted to come on here and tell you guys made me do it, and I wanted to thank you. So that's pretty much it. A really quick, short, sweet, to the point video today. I hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in my next video on Monday. I will see you then. Bye. This one comes in a trinity. It's called the Black Metal Trinity, and then this one is solo. This is called Actual Powder. Does have the little Jeffree Star embossing on it, which is very, very cool.